Welcome back to the Personal Transformation Experience podcast. I'm David, and this is my wife, Maureen. And if you've seen us before, you know we love to talk about relationships, personal growth, transformation, physical, mental health, a lot of different topics. This is episode 57. Today, our topic is psychological safety in a committed relationship. So the first question queued up for today is, what does it mean to feel safe with your partner? Do you want to kick us off with your thoughts, my love?
Well, yeah. What does it mean to feel safe with your partner? I think it means different things for different people. I mean, for me, it means that I can be vulnerable and not be afraid to be vulnerable, and, get shut down or have you say something that will make me feel ashamed that I said something. I don't know how else to put that. But yeah, I think feeling safe, psychological safety, feeling safe with your partner is really, for me, about in those moments when you're angry or you feel hurt, you get into a fight, your emotions, are all over the place and you're struggling to find words, which happens to me. Mm-hmm. If I get really upset, I can't think of any decent words to say. I can think of lots of indecent words to say. And my volume will get loud and I have a hard time finding reasonable behavior. So I will stop talking or shut down because I don't want to be screaming at you like a crazy woman, cursing and not making any sense.
What would cause you to feel that you need to scream at me?
Oh, it doesn't take much. Sometimes. Well, triggers, right? So if I'm triggered by something, if I feel shut down or I feel dismissed or I feel...
And you would know that how? By words I'm using, body language? What are you looking at to tell you that I'm dismissing you or I'm shutting you down?
Well, it's how I feel in a moment that I say something. So, if I'm trying to communicate something to you and you turn around and you say something passive aggressive, I can bring up the example yesterday.
Sure. That's why we're here.
So yesterday I was thanking you for putting away the lasagna because, it would have sat out all night and would have been ruined. And you turned around and said, yeah, I remember to put the lasagna away, but you forgot to put the laundry in the dryer like I asked. And then walked out the door. And I thought, wow, okay, that's not nice. And very passive aggressive. If you were angry that I didn't do something you asked, you could just say, I'm getting frustrated. I ask you to do these things and you keep forgetting. And I don't know what to do about that. Maybe. Doesn't mean I won't get mad.
I feel like, that would set you off, actually.
It might set me off, but not as much as you throwing that out and walking out the door. And now I'm sitting there getting angry because I hate passive aggressive. It's something I really struggle to tolerate. I'm a very straight shooter. I don't do passive aggressive, so I don't like it when somebody does it to me. If you've got something to say, you fucking say it, right? I mean, just say it. But that's where I struggled. And so I couldn't respond to it. And the more angry I became, the fewer words I was able to pull from a reasonable place to respond to what you said. So now I'm just very angry. And when I did bring it up, we were walking down, in the neighborhood. I said, I said something about it and you were like, got it. No, yeah, maybe that wasn't nice. I'm sorry. I could have just told you something else or put that another way. There was another way for me to communicate that. No, you just shut me down and said, got it. And now I have no place to go there. I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to say to that. You're shutting me down. Clearly you don't want to talk about it. Clearly you're mad about something that you did to me, which infuriated me even more. So now I'm stewing and stewing and stewing, and the anger is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm not talking to you at all. We come back. I'm working out. We're working out. I'm not a word. And you're not saying a word to me. I'm just getting more angry, more angry. I mean, thankfully the weights helped calm me down because That's a sensory input for me. So when I get angry, I exercise and it feels better. But I'm still very pissed that we couldn't talk about it and you shut me down. And so that's where I was.
So you didn't feel safe to express yourself?
Well, I didn't feel safe to express myself in the moment because it didn't feel like, I didn't get the sense that you were willing to talk about it reasonably. And if I said anything, it would not have been nice. And, you know, my therapist told me last week or a couple weeks ago that my drug of choice is rage. And she's right. When I get mad, I get rid of the rage because it's familiar. I know what to do with it. I know what to do with rage. I don't know what to do with anything else. So hours went by. We finished the workout. I come downstairs. I'm sitting here and I'm just getting more and more angry. And I'm like, okay, I can't talk to him because if I do, I'll start screaming and I might hit him. Right? Which is something I will do if I get very angry. So I have to watch my rage. So this is what I do. So I shut down because I don't want to start screaming and cursing and I don't want to hit anybody.
Yeah.
So I wrote you a text. And while it was an angry text, it was very difficult for me to tell you that I was hurt. It's easier to say I'm pissed, you know, and curse and say how angry I am. But I did say that I was hurt and that I felt like you shut me down. And I was very honest. I don't have any words. I'm struggling to find words. And I put that all in the text, which was an olive branch and opened up the communication. So obviously it worked because you came down. And while you yelled at first, the communication started happening, verbal communication. And we figured it out. We worked it out. But I felt very vulnerable writing that text. But I know that it's okay to be vulnerable with you. You might be mad, but it's safe. Like you're not going to be cruel or do anything to make me feel like I'm not safe. So it was vulnerable. It wasn't easy, but I had the courage to do it because our relationship has that aspect of psychological safety, I felt.
So I think part of this is sharing what we've learned from interactions with each other, but also trying to help guide people that may get into these same type of situations and not always have good strategies for dealing with it in the moment. I think one of the things that I'm learning to do is when I'm deeply affected by something is to just say, I'm not ready to talk about this right now. I'm not quite sure what I'm feeling right now, you know, and ask for more time. Which I think in this particular case wouldn't necessarily have been helpful for you to say I needed more time. But it's
no,
okay.
I didn't need time. I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about it right away.
I want to talk about it right away because, you know, the longer you let something go, the harder it is to talk. The more of the wall gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you know. And while it might have been a little thing, it's all these little things. If you don't address them and repair them quickly, it becomes huge.
Yeah. So there's a balance between responding or reacting and using harsh language versus taking time to reflect and come back to the conversation. I mean, when you and I talked about it in the dining room, I'd already had a couple hours to reflect on it. So,
But you were kind of digging your heels in when you responded to my text. You were like, I forget what you said. You said,
well, I just, in the moment when you were mad about it, I feel like no matter how many good things I do, one small thing I do wrong kind of like erodes all the goodwill capital that I have in this relationship.
Yeah.
So that's just the way I was thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a perspective, right?
That was my perspective in that moment.
In that moment, and I get that because, you know, I often think, wow, everything I do right, he looks at the one thing I did wrong, you know, and so
that's what I was feeling about.
I feel like that, yeah.
Like I ruined the day with that comment.
Well, you didn't ruin the day with the comment. You ruined the day by dropping it, like drop the mic, and then walking away. You know, it was like you slap me in the face and you walk away. I mean, that's extreme, but like it kind of felt like a punch to the gut. And then you walk away and I'm like, what just happened?
I think this is where it comes down to you have to decide what hills you want to die on. And, would you rather have a good relationship and a connected relationship, or do you have to be right all the time?
Yeah, exactly.
And in reflecting on yesterday and other times, I think sometimes, I do dig my heels in and I feel like I want to be right about something, but in the long run, if it drives a wedge in the relationship, is it worth it? This is what we all have to think about in these moments.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? Is it worth it to dig our heels in and not say I'm sorry or not say I could see how that could feel hurtful, or just kind of try and get the other person's perspective?
Mm-hmm.
And because that is what builds psychological safety and trust, is the other person saying the relationship is more important to me than whatever we were arguing about.
Yeah. And also going back to, I do all these things right, I do one thing wrong. Just because you do so many nice things for me doesn't mean you could be an asshole to me at any given time. And that's okay. It's not. And that's a trap. That's almost an abusive trap, right? So you see that happening to women. The husband's so wonderful, 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 and then he beats the shit out of her. But then I'm so sorry, and he's wonderful. No, that doesn't work that way. And I almost got caught up in that and be like, maybe I'm wrong. No. I do lots of nice things to you. Doesn't mean I could be a shithead to you either. Like all the nice things doesn't make up for one time I want to be a jerk. No, that's not how that works. You still don't get to treat somebody like that. It's still not okay. No matter what you do. We're all human. We're going to make mistakes. But, and obviously, we have to have some flexibility around that. But if your feelings are hurt, if I said something to you and you were like, what the fuck was that for? Like, what did I do? You're allowed to call me out on that. Just because I do all these nice things and I take care of that, and whatever whatever I'm doing doesn't mean in one moment I get to punch you in the face. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an extreme where neither of us physically abuse each other.
But the verbal abuse, I mean, you just have to be careful with that line. I mean, it's not us, but I don't want women or men to think, oh, she does so many nice things for me. Like the one time she's upset and she's really mean, I need to shut my mouth and not make a big deal. No, I don't think that's right. I think if it's upsetting and it's cruel and it's something that really upsets you, I think you need to talk about it. It's okay. We're allowed to have these emotions as feelings. It's how we respond to them, right? So look at the progress I made. I didn't beat you up. I didn't curse at you. Not that I've ever done that before.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
I'm grateful.
The feeling of wanting to hit something and get angry and curse and the name calling is right there. But I'm that's not how things get solved. Even though it's there and I just want to scream. My logical side, the maturity, says, no, that's not okay. I'll go upstairs and be I'll curse to myself, but I have to get it out. But I know that that's not something I would want you to do to me, and it's not going to accomplish anything. It's only going to make things worse. So I know better. It doesn't mean I don't feel it, right? You could feel you want to just do something really bad, but you don't act on it. You just don't act on it.
So let's walk through what a more appropriate response might be.
Yeah.
Right. And we talked about this. So it might look like the repair conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Me saying to you, I'm not happy about what I said. I'm disappointed in myself for saying what I did the way I said it, for leading it to how you feel now. And it wasn't my intent to hurt you.
Yeah.
I thought I was being funny in the moment, but I do struggle with mental filter and say things that aren't nice at times, and I think it's funny, but it's not to the other person.
But how was it funny when you just dropped it and walked out? There was no laughter. There was nothing to even clue me in that you were joking, even though it wasn't funny. But it might be funny to you, but it's, what am I, the butt of the joke now? But back it up a little bit more. If you had not walked out the door, I could have taken a deep breath and said, did you mean for that to sound really rude or nasty?
Right.
But I didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So once the moment was gone, I didn't have the opportunity. I couldn't take that deep breath and then ask the question. All I could do was get angry now because you walked out the door. And I was like, where the hell did he go? I didn't even know you were gone. Everything happens so fast.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, rethink those moments, when you have something not so nice. Look, we're all going to say them, but it's the repair afterwards.
And I think it's good to ask you or your partner, how am I showing up? Is there, if there's a behavior I could work on, what would it be?
I love that, because now that you're proactive, right? This is a very proactive thing. You could ask your partner. This is great for all relationships in work, like wherever you are. Like if you're working with people, when it's appropriate, you can ask these questions.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, even your children, if you could change one thing.
Yeah, one thing at a time, because nobody wants a top 10 list. Well, here's the top 10 things that you do that irritate me, right? That just leads people to feel overwhelmed and demoralized.
Yeah, well, it makes somebody angry. Like, you sat down and wrote all the things you hate about me? Really? Like, why are you here?
That was a movie, 10 Things
Rachel,
I Hate About You.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was Friends.
Yeah, but
that was a thing. Anyway, so
one thing. What's one behavior?
What's one thing I can change about something that I do that could be better, that I could support you better with, or something that you don't like that you wish I could change, right? So, I mean, I was listening to Dr. Becky, and she asked this to her. She talks to her kids this way. And her daughter said the rushing thing. You do the rushing thing at night. You rush.
Rushing around.
Rush me through you just want to put me to bed.
Yeah.
I don't want to rush. Like, hurry up, you got 5 minutes, and so she was like, I don't like that. It makes me anxious. And now I have to go to bed feeling anxious. And mom, and I think that's huge, because parents do that.
Pretty mature of that child to have that conversation, be able to feel safe enough to tell their mother that.
She set that up. She's nurturing that kind of environment,
Yeah.
right, from get-go.
Well, it's so important, because everybody should have the ability and feel that they can self-advocate, whether it's in a relationship or with their parents, with their children, or at work, right? To be able to advocate for yourself and say, I didn't like the way that was said to me. I don't like what was said to me or how it was said to me.
It didn't feel good.
And create a boundary, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good, and it is fair to ask the other person the question, like you just said, did you mean for that to insult me? Did you mean for that to come across hurtful
and mean?
Right, because
I don't like the way it feels.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't feel good at all. And it
takes a lot to be able to say that to somebody.
Especially when you're upset. Like, what does that look like in real life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, had you not walked out, could I have done that? I don't know. Because I didn't get the opportunity. So, I mean, I'm always practicing. Take a deep breath. Let your breath be the first word. I love that line. That's like one of my favorite strategies ever. Before you respond, take a deep breath. Let your breath be the first word.
Thank you, Jefferson Fisher.
Yes.
Just give him credit for it.
Absolutely, because what that does is help you to regulate your emotions and put some space between you and the event, right? Like somebody, because we don't have control.
Well, if we don't put space between the stimulus and the action, then we're reacting.
Or the emotion, yeah.
Right, versus responding.
Yeah, because it's an emotion, really.
And you're going to feel an emotion.
Yeah.
The thing is, how in control of expressing your emotions are you?
Right.
Right. If you go from 0 to 60 internally, and then just start ranting or cursing or so forth.
Right.
In generally most situations, people then are going to push your buttons intentionally to get that reaction too.
Absolutely.
Even in a relationship, that can become a dangerous thing.
Yep.
Where the other person then almost goes for it, right? Like, I know they're going to blow up at this.
Yeah, watch this. And they almost take pleasure in watching you flip out.
So that can become a trap too in a relationship if you, not that the other person's off the hook for what they say, but, so there is this balance between one person in a relationship has got to be able to figure out how to say things in a way that are not unkind and hurtful, but the other person also needs to be able to advocate for themselves in a way that's responsive.
Well, let me just say, if you're in a relationship where the other person triggers you on purpose just to like watch you flip out, I think you need to rethink that relationship, because that's not emotional safety at all.
No, it sounds like you need to be in couples therapy.
Yeah. Or you need individually, the person who's flipping out needs to be in therapy to recognize
both.
Recognize one, their triggers, and two, why there was somebody who does that to them.
Yeah. I don't think I may have at times in the 17 years we've been together, have intentionally triggered you, but I can't think I've done that recently. But that wasn't an intentional quest of mine to trigger you yesterday. It just came out because it was top of mind that I had just moved the laundry over. So that's what.
And you were frustrated. I mean, I think that's why where I was frustrated yesterday, because you weren't owning up to the fact that maybe you were pissed off that I didn't do it. And that's why you said it. It wasn't a joke. It was actually letting me know that I didn't do something you asked in a way that was very passive aggressive. And that's why I was like, you're like, it was meant to be a joke. We can't rib each other. I'm like, that's not ribbing. That's not a joke. I didn't move the laundry, and you wanted to make sure I knew you didn't. I knew I didn't, because you're frustrated. And that's allowed. I mean, I get frustrated about a lot of things you do, but I tell you straight out, I don't like this. This is like, can you just slow down? Like, you're rushing around and it's making me anxious.
Yeah, I think this is the crux of this conversation today, is just being honest about what feelings are arising in you and what the stimulus is that's causing those feelings or leading those feelings to come up. And it's hard, right? It's hard to tell your partner, this is frustrating me, or this is giving me anxiety. But there's times where you've talked and you've been very loud, because you're getting passionate about something. Maybe you're frustrated about something at work, and I've had to say, you just need to bring that down a few notches, because it's just making the sound of your voice at that pitch and that tone and just
and I get that,
making me anxious, right? So I've been able to tell you that.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't like it because I'm trying to express myself, and I'm like, I have to stop and now calm myself down, and it's hard for me to do that. But on the flip side, I know when you used to come home and vent about work, and you were like getting anxious, and you were like talking about like getting angry and going on and on. I was like, I can't, like, but I didn't know how to tell you, like, until I finally just said, you can't do this anymore. It's a boundary. Like, you can't come and just dump the whole day on me. That's not okay for me anymore.
And it is fair to say, and again, you have to feel safe to do all of this.
Yeah.
But, to say to somebody, I don't let people talk to me this way. Right?
Yeah.
If somebody's using your partner or even somebody at work using a disparaging tone.
Yeah, it's not okay. And then be willing to walk away and just walk.
Yeah.
Like, don't say that and then stay. Like, what's really tricky, I think, is people don't walk away. They stay. Like, you could say that and then they continue to do it, or you stay in the conversation. You have to, let somebody know I mean business. I have too much self-respect to stand here and be spoken to in this way, even though I'm in a meeting with 5 other people. I'm out. If you want to talk in a professional manner, in a way that's productive, I'll be in my office. And walk out the door. There's your mic drop. I mean, it's not, you might be, whatever fears you might have around, what did I just do? Am I going to get fired now? I think the self-respect that you just demonstrated, the confidence that you had to walk out the door when people are talking to you like, really poorly, that's huge. I mean, that's everything. You're now setting a precedent.
Well, people that allow themselves to be disrespected and don't set a boundary and don't advocate for themselves, then become a target for that behavior.
Yeah.
Even in a relationship, in a committed relationship, that can be how it goes, right? And relationships do fall apart over that.
Yeah.
Where somebody keeps pushing the other and the other's not advocating.
Yeah. If you don't say anything, like that's not something I can tolerate. No.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking,
but neither should you.
You feel safe enough in this relationship that you can tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
You can tell me when something's bothering you. Because no, I'm not going to get verbally or physically abusive with you.
Right.
And most of the time, I think I show you that I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to understand you. Most
of the time. I mean, there are times that I'm talking to you, and I don't know if you're hearing me, because you kind of get the deer in the headlights look. And when you don't respond, I don't know what you heard. And then you turn around and say something, and I'm like, I didn't say that. So I think for me, I need to really make sure, like, can you tell me what I just said? Because I feel like your mind is going,
Well, this is the other
yeah,
skill that I'm always working on in a conversation with somebody is I just want to ensure that I understood what you said. What I heard you say is, right, and kind of reflect back to you
yeah,
what I've heard you say.
yep, that's a great strategy.
Make sure I'm clear on what you're communicating.
But again, in the moment, how hard is that, right? Like, can you think about that in the moment when we're talking?
Not always. No,
Yeah.
this is a skill to develop. And
It's something that
continue to practice.
I don't typically
well.
do that either, and it's something I need to remember to do. I don't remember to do it now until I'm talking to you like this, and I'm like, yeah, I should do that, but I don't think about it in the moment because I'm having a conversation. It's just not a natural thing for me to be like, so I hear you say this. Can you tell me what I just said? Like, what did you just hear me say? It's actually better what you just heard me say. Because I do it in the clinic all the time.
Yeah, you have to.
I work with children who really struggle with social communication. So especially, the one I'm working with now and this new learner, and she's will tell me, I'm like, can you tell me what you just heard? And most of the time, she cannot. She cannot tell me. So I'll repeat it, and then I'll have her say, what did you just hear? So it usually takes a couple of times because she really struggles with focusing on what I'm saying. Really struggles. So it's something I constantly do at work, but I don't know. I guess coming home and doing it at home, it's a little exhausting.
It's work, right? But again, going back to the committed relationship, right? Are you committed to the relationship and making it work? Then you do have to put some effort in, right?
Yeah.
You can't just set things on autopilot or just assume your partner will overlook your transgressions or how you're talking to them. Those little things build up over time and they become, small little wedges in the relationship. They create a big divide and lead people. I mean, ultimately people get divorced, right? Because they don't communicate, they don't advocate. They don't let their partner know when something they've said or done is bothering them. And I think the other big piece is being accountable and responsible for your actions and behaviors.
Yeah.
And being able to stand up and say, I own that. I see that what I said hurt you. Mm-hmm. And I own that and I'm responsible for that. And I take accountability for how I speak to you. And I am committed to speaking to you differently in the future.
Yeah. And I love that you just brought that up because that's a big one. That sounds great in theory, but I think a lot of people I know, myself included, like, what does that look like in real life? Like, how do you practice that on a day-to-day basis? And how do you get to a place where that actually happens all the time? Like, so I think we kind of talked about self-respect, respecting your partner. So if you care and you're more concerned with connection rather than being right. And I think that's a big deal.
Well, that's the mindset, right? If you have the mindset shift to think this relationship is more important to me than this hill that I'm on right now that I'm fighting on. And so, I think that the mindset drives the actions, right? If in your head you value the relationship quite strongly, then your actions will follow that.
Yeah, and
intention. Intention.
It's intention, and I think
you have to be intentional.
I think a lot of it's very much ego based, because if you are always like seeking to be right, and you're afraid that if you give in, then
you're giving something up, right? Because
right.
If you have that lose-win mentality,
yes,
in a relationship, that it's like scorekeeping, right? Well, they got the win and I got the loss here.
I'm losing. If I give in, I'm losing something. If she, if she gives in, I win. Well, it's not a win-lose. It should always be a win-win. Everybody wins because now you're connecting. So you need to, the priority needs to be connection.
Right.
Can't be whether one's right or one's wrong, because it's never about that.
Prioritize connection.
Prioritize connection is the bottom line. If you are coming from a space where you're prioritizing connection and you love this person and you want to see your relationship evolve and grow and you want to be closer and closer and you thrive and realize that's where you're going, and that's something you seek and yearn for, then you will, I think, naturally hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
I just said something in that way, like, I could see she's hurt. I know she's hurt. I can tell she's upset. I need to say something, other than I'm not going to say anything. Fuck that. I'm so done with, you know what I mean? Like, so you have both sides of that. And so you really, I think, need to think, do you want to be right? Or do you want to have a relationship?
What you just said, that's arrogance, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not apologizing.
I'm not apologizing.
That's arrogance.
Yeah.
And arrogance is not going to get you far in a committed relationship.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to, right. And the relationship's going to crumble. It's going to fall apart if that's your perspective. Like, if I give in, then I'll not have anybody. I'll be like a big pushover. Yeah.
Like, what's next? If I give in to that, then yeah.
Yeah. Like, you can't hold boundaries. Once you give in one, everything goes away. No, that's like with children, like, you could hear their ideas. You could let them know, you validate their emotion. I know this is really hard. This is really hard. We do it with our kids all the time. I know this is really hard. I know that you're upset, but we're still not going to buy the candy right now. But I'm right here with you, and we're going to get through this together. I mean, are they still going to cry? Sure. But you hold a boundary. You still don't let them get the candy.
Right.
But you're letting them know that you're there for them. You get that it is hard, because to them, it's the end of the world. Right. And if you just like dismiss their emotions, then, and you do that throughout their lives, they're going to get older and they're not going to trust how they feel about anything. So that's kind of where that comes from.
So on an ongoing basis, strategies and tactics, right, to keep, because if you're not feeling connected, it's going to be very hard to have that open and honest conversation.
Yeah.
People who are disconnected aren't talking generally, right? And so then it's harder to advocate for yourself or even come to the table and offer an apology for a behavior. So what are some of the things we do, right, to stay connected? The podcast, I think, is a form of that.
The podcast is great because we talk about what we want to talk about.
We walk and we talk to each other and we express our feelings on those walks. Sometimes we don't have much to say. Sometimes we have a lot to say. Yeah. Sometimes we're in the car driving somewhere together. That gives us an opportunity to talk about how something made us feel. Sometimes it's at the dinner table. So I don't think we make like a definitive time. We don't say every Sunday at 8 we're going to talk about our relationship. No. So I think we find a way to talk about it almost part of every day.
Well, yeah, every day. But I think also when you're upset with your partner, you feel disconnected. It's more, I think, to like when I wrote the text, right? It was hard for me to do that. I didn't want to do that, but I put it out there. But my point is, instead of just feeling vulnerable, you could actually use it as a test, right? You're going to put yourself out there. You're going to let him know how you feel. And if it doesn't open up a line of communication, because you put the olive branch out there, you were vulnerable. I told you I was really hurt and how I felt. If you don't get the response that you're seeking, you have a need, right? You need to, what your need is to talk to your partner, because you don't want to feel this way. You don't want to have this between you. You want to resolve this. If you don't get the reaction you're looking for, then then that tells you something. It tells you something about your partner, and maybe ask them, like, I don't know, but it will give you a clue as to whether or not you can move forward with communication.
Well, this feels a little bit like read the room expression, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be able to read somebody's emotional.
Well, it's not even reading their emotion. You send them a text, you get into an argument, you're upset about something, you're both not talking. For me, I'm like, this is not how I want to spend my day. Like, I don't want to feel this way. I don't like the way I feel. I'm very upset. He hurt me. Like, I want to be able to talk about this and resolve this. I don't care how we resolve it, but we can resolve this, right? Yeah. So, but putting yourself out there, think of it more than just you being vulnerable. Think of it as, this is a test. This is a test to see how he responds to me. If he doesn't open up and talk to you once you put that olive branch out, then maybe you need to think about how you're going to communicate in the future. Does this always happen? How many times has this happened before? Like, think about your relationship and where it's going. Because if he can't respond in that moment, then has he ever done that before? And going forward, how are you going to resolve things in the future? Because if you just let it go, without processing and resolving your emotions about it, those emotions are going to sit with you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to come out some other way.
Yeah, physical pain.
Or you're going to, yell at him for something. And, it's going to come out. It's going to come out somewhere, somehow, somebody displaced anger on somebody else, your kids, whatever. It will not stay inside. It's going to explode out. So my point is, instead of I don't know if I could be vulnerable, think of it as a test for your relationship. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about that way, it feels a little less vulnerable and a little more curiosity, which feels safer. Yeah. To me, anyway.
I like it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing how you feel with me about this.
No, thank you.
It means a lot.
Yeah. I think the other question was also, how does a couple remember to do this daily? How do you keep connected daily? I mean, text messages are always fun. You can get really creative with them.
For sure.
Do little leave notes. You could write notes. You could, do little things to see if he'll find something that you hid, that's personal.
I don't think you've done that.
No.
I can't think of an example of that.
Well, I'll tell you later, but
okay.
But you could think of little things or you can buy little mementos, little cute things like, you buy me flowers. You buy me flowers. That's great. Mm-hmm. I mean, not just for our anniversary. You will just buy me flowers or find a card give me a card that, that you were
spontaneous
thinking.
Connection.
Spontaneous connection.
It doesn't have to, nothing should be formal, really.
Right. It doesn't have to be an anniversary or my birthday or any specific date.
Yeah.
I'll come home and I'll find beautiful roses and a note. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Or when you come home from work, you don't just give me a peck on the cheek. You grab me, you hug me, you kiss me like you haven't seen me in 10 years. That's connection. That's not something that we always did, especially when we were in the trenches with the kids. I barely got a peck on the cheek sometimes, but you always did kiss me. Yeah. And always kiss your partner goodnight.
Yes, we have that sign up in our bedroom.
Yeah.
So we celebrated the 17th anniversary of our first date this past Friday on the 21st of August. So we have been through it. The highs and lows, the intensity of the early relationship, and then the reality of raising three children in a blended family for the rest of that time, really.
Yeah.
And then having two children with not biologically related to each other, two children with autism, ADHD, and one with dyslexia, and also mental health challenges as well for both of them. So it's been an interesting time, and so as we talked about earlier this year, we did definitely drift apart a little bit, and didn't we prioritized other things, but not our relationship. And that's where it's hard, when you have the 5 kids or whatever the situation is, and things are hard and you're grinding things out, to still give time and focus and energy to the relationship and keep that connection. Because if you don't keep that connection, then you can't you can't be there for all the kids, and you can't be there for, meet their needs when yours aren't met. So
exactly.
And I think that was something that I feel we learned in all of that was, we kept saying the relationship is second to everything else we got going on.
It really did. Yeah. I mean, when we first met, like our children were the priority, but it doesn't mean our relationship's not important. We could prioritize our relationship and our kids. It doesn't.
Well, it's not exclusionary,
right?
But if you sit there and say the relationship is not as important, then you're going to fall into.
And also, you need to get out of your own head sometimes. Yeah. I know, you get sucked into other things, like what's happening. Like, I'm going through all of this stuff, and I don't know how to deal with it. When it has nothing to do with your relationship, right?
Yeah.
A job or...
Well, let your partner into what you're feeling too, right? I was dealing with a lot, but I don't think I was vocal about it. And I didn't, because I wasn't vocal about it, I didn't give you the space or the room to feel like, hey, I'm going through something too. You know, and for us to talk about it, because that's why I say you do prioritize the relationship, because the relationship gives you the safe space. It should be that safe space where you can communicate with each other, talk about what's on your mind, talk about what you're struggling with, and just the shoulder to lean on, right? Because then you can do all the other things. I think if I look back on all that time that we didn't prioritize the relationship, I say probably the rest of life would have been easier had we done that.
Yes.
It just didn't feel like
Yeah.
we could, right? And that, so again, a lot of this is your perspective and how you look at things, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at your relationship as on a back burner, it will be, but
Yeah.
it's a very dangerous place to be.
Yeah. And then, being mindful of how you're communicating what's going on in your head. Like, you don't want to just rant, have an angry rant, and just like kind of dump all your crap on your spouse or your partner, because that's not going to work either.
Right.
Because now you're just sending all this negative energy, toxic energy, you're bringing it home, you're dumping it in your household on your partner, and without like connecting with them. That's a dangerous space too, I know. And that's something we've experienced. And it was really, and I didn't, say anything about the boundary because I felt like in my mind, I wanted you to be able to feel like you could talk to me. But then I realized this doesn't feel good. I can't do this anymore. And we're not connecting. It's just all about whatever's going on in your job or whatever. And I don't want to be that. I'm not your dumping. I can't take the dumping anymore.
Right. And that's a boundary too, right?
Yeah.
It's not.
But it took me a while to realize like, this is not okay anymore. Like I didn't like it. But I'm like, how do I, because I'm doing everything else. I just didn't know how to express that. And that's one of my biggest issues. Like I struggle with expressing how I feel or creating those boundaries, because I grew up in a space where I wasn't allowed.
Well, you didn't feel safe to do so.
No, I didn't feel safe.
And so bringing it back around to our topic today.
The psychological
creating
safety,
right? Listening to the other person.
Yeah.
Showing that you're listening, showing that you have empathy for the other person and how they're feeling, understanding what your place is in the relationship and what you may be saying or doing that's contributing to some negative energy in the relationship is all critical to building safety, helping the other person feel safe in the relationship.
Yeah, and make sure you communicate, effectively.
Yeah, and keep talking.
Keep talking.
All right, well, thank you very much for following us and joining us. So, hope you like this podcast, and we'll see you for the next one.
Okay, bye.